this video, I'm going to show you how to download the earnings per share for the last 5 years of all the stocks in the US stock market with a market cap greater than $500 million. So, let's get to it. So we're starting here with a blank Python worksheet, and so we in our last exercise we ended up with this file. No, not that one. We ended up with this file, a list of all these stocks, 2,950 of them. Now what we want to do is we want to get the earnings per share of the last 5 years for each of these stocks and get that off the internet. Now where we go and get it is we're going to go to a site called Morningstar, and just to show you, plug into my browser Morningstar, and I type in the stock. Let's go Apple. There we go. And just click on the balance sheet. So now it's financials.morningstar.com. We're looking at the balance sheet. But really we care about the key ratios. Just click on the key ratios here. And if you notice, there's a line earnings per share for Apple. So now what we're going to do is if you click on this export button over here, this particular page and its data is downloaded. If I open that up, there we go. So that's the data as an Excel file. So the exact process that I've just done of going to the Morningstar website, typing in Apple, and then getting that information as a CSV, I'm going to automate it now with Python, and then do it the 2,950 times that we need to do that. So let's get going. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to read in the data, the list of all the stocks that we're going to plow through. So to do that, we're using functions, this is functions used. We're going to use from OS import chdr. Okay. And I want to save this particular file, because it's a good thing to do. And just for file hygiene, saving it as I did in the previous video, invested market value model. And this is now at 201, investment 201.03, EPS scraper. It's a Python file, py. I'm going to call this V01 video. Okay, functions being used, and then import data. So to import the data, it's simple like the last video. Function above, chdr, open the brackets. So I'm going to change the directory. The directory that we're in is this one over here. So I'm copying that, selecting and copying it, and then in quotes I'm pasting it into the code. Now Python has its quirk of the double backspaces. double backspace, save. So that's the first. Then the next thing is we need to read in the file. And we're going to call this file SP list S&P 500. If you want to call it another name, you can, but SP list. S&P 500 is the list of all the top 500 stocks. When I wrote this code initially, I did it for only 500, but I've since extended it to the entire stock market. But the code is written with SP list, so that's just what we're going to go with. So SP list dot. Now we need to use. We need to import the function that we need for this. So the function that we need is the pandas library. So from the import pandas as PD. The pandas library is kind of like Excel for Python. So we imported pandas, so we can put this into the equivalent of a spreadsheet. So SP list is equal to PD dot read underscore CSV, and the file we're reading in, just put it in quotes, is this one. Control A, Control C, list all your stocks, 500 million in pi. Control V, and then we just need to add something to this command saying index column is equal to none. Okay, so that means it's going to import it without an index. There's no index column in the file. So let's just run all of this to make sure that it works. Hey, it doesn't crash. And the test is we now go SP list, type that. Great. We've written the 2,950 rows. Cool. So we're in business with that. So the next step is we need to read in the data from the website. So we're using Beautiful Soup again to do that. So let's just import the Beautiful Soup functions. Web scraping functions. Let's just save that here. From BS4 import Beautiful Soup and import URL lib2. So we need these two functions. Let's just import them. Make sure I've typed them in correctly. Okay, import's fine. Save. Now we're gonna write some code. We're gonna call this code and just putting in the hash sign just to comment out and just label this. It's gonna call this reading in data from Morningstar website. Okay. Also just while we're at it, let's just label this code and say what this code is doing. So we're going to go to the this website. Let's go to the code here. So let's label this reads in data from the that website and extracts the EPS data for a given list of stocks. Marvelous. Okay. So now before we read in the data, we need to read in stock name, which is called the ticker. So that 3-digit code, or that code for a stock, is called its ticker. So we need to read in the relevant ticker. So now we've gone through for loops in the last video. We're going to go through a nice big loop to read in the particular ticker. So just to remind you, we have SP list. Let's bring back the first 5 lines. That's :5. Okay, we just want the symbol column, and let's just say we want, let's do that again. Let's bring back the last 10 lines. Great, you see Apple is there, so we want number 7. So SP list, and if you just put a 7 in there, alright, it doesn't like that. Okay, doesn't like that either. So let's just make I is equal to 7. Oh wait, no, that's because the reason it didn't work is you have to label the column symbol, and then if you another bracket put 7. There we go, brings back Apple. So we want to bring back a list of all of those names. So let's put that code here. Ticker is equal to SP list square brackets symbol in quotes, and then we're going to use the variable J in our for loop. J. So let's just set up the for loop while we're at it. Yeah, let's put it over here. For J in range 0 to len, how long is SP list colon, and then all of this stuff gets indented. So if J is equal to 1, we run this particular code, so copy and paste it here, enter. Yes, we got an extra piece of square brackets, so let's run that again. And type in ticker. Hey, brings back hey. Now we need to do something else, because some of these names have a funny syntax. Let's just have a look. Control F. In this column. Replace. Search for AKO.A. So let's just try this particular name in the Morningstar website. Oh, okay, it works. Okay, scrap that. We don't need to do it. In a previous iteration of the code, we needed to replace the dots with dashes. So Control F, find the dashes. There's no dashes, but there's plenty of dots. So that's not necessary. So what I was going to do is I was going to, when we read in the code, if it had a dash, we're going to replace it with a dot. But it seems in the underlying data that is already been fixed. But we're just going to keep this piece of code in here just for good measure. So let's just test it out. For the completeness of your knowledge, you now know about replace. So type in ticker. Hey. So now we've read in our ticker, and we want to now open up the website and pull the data out, basically. So now the thing. Let's just go back to Apple. APL. Okay. Financials. Okay. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Let's go back to this particular one. Now, we want to, if you click this export button, it downloads. And what you then want to do is you want to go to downloads here in your browser. I'm using Chrome. And this shows the web address. So let's copy link address. Let's go back into here. Apple web address.